Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, check out this teaser shot of a brand new Mercedes-Benz / Maybach that's going to make its official debut in concept form at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. Now this particular machine looks super sexy in these pictures. Cannot wait to see the rest of it. Here's some specs on it as well, and we'll know a lot more information in the next several days. Sticking with Mercedes-Benz, probably one of the most bizarre stories I've heard in some time. And this comes from the Times Herald Record. Now, they did a story on a New Jersey Mercedes-Benz dealership, and a 50-year-old fellow by the name of Surjit Basi. Mr. Basi was actually born in India, but has lived here in the United States for over 30 years. Now, Mr. Basi had headed to this Jersey dealership that sells Mercedes to trade off his ML350 Mercedes in favor of a brand new Mercedes GLS 550. Now, apparently the paperwork went through, the credit deal went through, he laid down $1,000 for his down payment, he even switched over his insurance to his new ride. And then the dealership came back to him and said, listen, you're from a very high-risk area. High risk? India? Okay. Alright. So apparently he's from a high-risk area. And they were afraid that he was going to take this brand new 550 and send it overseas into the hands of radical fundamentalists and terrorist groups to use at their leisure. Yes, this is exactly what they thought. Now, of course, you probably already figured out by now. And because even he came back to him and claimed that he had actually come to him and said, listen, I'll sign a waiver saying I'm going to keep the car, and they would not budge off of their high horse and would not sell him the automobile. So you know what's going to happen next. Yes, Mr. Basi has got a lawsuit on his hands. He's suing Mercedes-Benz. He's also suing the dealership. Now, obviously, if I was in his hands, I would never, ever own a Mercedes-Benz ever again. And probably a weirder part, a little caveat to the story, they are doing it on racial profiling or racial discrimination, which I always find kind of weird because India is not a race, it's a country. But yeah, that being said, there's probably no other precedent for it to go any other way. So again, if I was in his shoes, I would never ever own a Mercedes-Benz for as long as I live. Next up on the list, let's talk about the brand new Chevrolet ZL1 and 1LE vehicles that General Motors just released official pricing on over the past several days. Now, if you don't know what the 1LE is, you can basically get it on a Camaro LT and a Camaro SS, and it just improves the handling. No performance modifications as far as the engine are concerned, but suspension, braking, and wheels and tires. And if you ever see one, they look dang good, and they drive as good as they look. If you have a Camaro LT, it's just another $4,500 over the sticker price. If you go with the SS version, it's just another $6,500, and it is money well spent. Now, sticking with the ZL1 that comes with the supercharged LSA 6.2-liter V8, making 650 horsepower, 650 pounds-feet of torque, be able to do 0 to 60 in just 3.5 seconds, and blitz the quarter mile in just 11.4 seconds with a top speed through the traps out of 127 miles an hour. The starting price for the ZL1 Coupe comes in at $62,195, but if you want a convertible version, you have to kick in another $6,000 at least for the starting price. This next little story involves a Transit from the folks over at Econoline.tv. Now, the folks talked about the brand new Transit actually selling exceptionally well over the vehicle that it replaced, and we're kind of the last on the list when it comes to the Transit, as the bulk of the world has been using this for some time, and now we finally get our grubby little mitts on it. Now, it replaced the Econoline van. This particular Econoline is the one I use every day, the exact van that I use in my real job. Now, I got this vehicle back in February of 2014. Now, a coworker of mine got another one of these a year or so before me. Now, he had it for a week or so, and I asked him what he thought of the machine. He said it was terrible. Now, I took that kind of with a grain of salt. He's not much of a car guy, so maybe he had other expectations for the machine. Fast forward to February of 2014 when I slide into this brand new, at the time, Ford Econoline. Now, I took the vehicle home, drove it back to work the next day. My boss asked me what I thought of it, and I said the same thing. Terrible. The vehicle has the wonkiest problems that I have ever known to any vehicle I've ever driven. The steering, at least for the first year and a half, felt like it was set in concrete. To turn it took a fair amount of effort. Not to mention, once you finished your turning, you had to turn it back to center. It wouldn't just kind of reel back to center like normal cars do. It felt like it was in mud or something, and you had to turn it back to actually get the vehicle to go straight again. The brakes were either on or off. It was tough to find the bite point, and a lot of times once you did, you were slammed on the brakes. It was very bizarre. Very sketchy getting this thing, because this part of the world gets a fair amount of winter weather. You can tell by the ground in this picture. There was snow on the ground. It was a sketchy ride home that first night. The vehicle has a number of other weirdo problems. Way stiff suspension because it's a heavy half. That's a little bit not its fault. It runs massive amounts of air pressure in the rear tires, which means over stutter bumps or anything, this thing will walk out from underneath you in a pretty fair clip. In fact, I almost lost it on a little B road just south of a town not too far from where we are right now. Now, all these can probably be, put down, and I could even this last little problem that I have with this thing, which is the on-off switch for the cruise control that's on the steering wheel. The on works great. The off, sometimes you have to hit it maybe, 10 or 15 times to get the cruise control to turn off. Sometimes it happens on the first try, which is very bizarre. It's always been a problem that I've had, and always a thing that I've hated about this thing. And don't tell me, oh, you know what, you're being too picky, especially on the cruise control thing if you just hold it down for a certain amount of seconds. No, that isn't the case, because I've held it down for over a mile and it didn't turn itself off. And listen, this is 2016. This vehicle was just built in 2014, and we've gone past vehicles being this poorly put together. And this is where this story is going to end, because I thought, and the way I always told people when they said, how do you like that van? And I told them it wasn't very good. I always felt that, you know what, Ford kind of thought, yeah, we got this new Transit. We're not going to continue on with development and continue on with the quality control on these Econolines moving forward because they're going away. Well, guess what? They're not. Ford's going to build these for another 5 years till 2021. So, yeah, I hope that they fix a lot of the issues that were on this particular van, because this thing, it is unacceptable. I know it's just a work van, but it is still unacceptable here in the 20-teens that it shouldn't be like this. But that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. You can really tell there's not much news going on, can't you? If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Don't forget, down in the show notes, the link will take you over to the Facebook page. Don't forget to like us over there. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again real soon.